everyone, welcome back. Today we have percentage and we're looking at increase and decrease. Now what I would say is there's lots and lots of different ways to do this. Lots of people show you different methods. This is the basics. We can build on the basics, but this is kind of the most basic method, which I think is a really good starting point for people. But before we do that, what is percentage increase and decrease? It is what it is, which is it simply is the percentage that something either goes up or down in value. We can think about the stock market going up in value. We can think about the stock market going down in value. Often we're thinking about money. We're talking about how much something goes up in value. So here's an example. Increase £60 by 20%. The very basis of this, and I'm going to use things like the lattice method today. But even if you don't know what the lattice method is, even if you don't want to use the lattice method, you've got a better way of multiplying. The basis of this is to do this. 60 times 0.2 or 0.2. Because what we're doing is we're times £60 by 20%. 20% as a decimal is 0.2. And that is it. We're going to find 20% and then we're going to add it to because we're increasing. So let's do that now using the lattice method. I've got 60 on the top and we're going to times that by 0.02. Now again, I don't always do 0.2. I might use just 0.2 and you'll see that in future examples. But on this occasion, just to get us started, I'll do it out in the longest form possible. So you can very see there my 60 timesing by my 0.2 or 0.2. So 0 times 0 is 0. So I just put a 0 in the top and I put a 0 in the bottom. And then we've got 0 times 6, which gives me 0 again. So you can see how easy this is. Some would say it's so easy, then why can't I just do it in my head? Please always show you're working. 2 times 0, which gives me 0. And then last but not least, we've got 2 times 6. This is where all the magic happens. And we've got 12. So we put 1 in the top column and 2 in the bottom column. Then, as always with the lattice method, and if you haven't done the lattice method before, please go and watch that. It's a fantastic tool that we all should be able to use and then make our mind up which one is most effective for us. But 0 in there, so we put a 0 there. We've got 0 plus 0 plus 2, which gives me 2. 0 plus 0 plus 1, which gives me 1. Now for the decimal place, I'm going to roll my decimal place down this line here, and it's going to end up there. So 20% of 60 is going to be 12. Okay, so all we've got to do is we've got to add 12 to 60 because we're increasing £60 by 20%. We've found out what 20% is. Now we've got to add it to it. So let's do that over here. So we've got 60 plus 12. Now you can see after decimal place we've got a point. You know, I could put that in there, but it's not going to make any difference to my answer, is it? So 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 6 is 7. So my answer is 72. I've increased £60 by 20%. I found out what 20% was. It was 12, and I've added it to it. 72. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Increase £60 by 20%. £72 is more than £60. All right, so I would like you to give this a go, but I am going to do some of the hard work for you. I'm going to write it out like that. So I've got 120 timesing by 0.125. And I'm even going to draw it out over here for you so that you can give it a go. Remember, you're going to find 12.5%, which is 1.125. Sorry, 0.125 if that's confusing you. And then you're going to add it to it because we're increasing it. So our answer should be more than 120. Pause the video, give it a go, come back and see if you've got it correct. So after writing all that out, we're going to go and do our maths now. 0 times 1 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And you can see how quick this is. Some would say it's much slower than what they would do, but I promise you if you timed it, you'd be amazed. 2 times 0 is 0. And obviously I'm taking quite a long time to do these. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 1 is 2. Now we've got 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. So look, I put that one on the top column this time. And 5 times 1 is 5. Now the key here is to add up the columns. We're going to have some carryover on this one. So we've got zeros in here, so we've got 0. We've got all zeros here, so we're going to have 0. Now we've got 10, don't we? So remember, I'm going to put a 1 up there and my 0 down there because that's my 10. Now I've got my 1 plus my 2 plus my 2, which gives me 5. And then I've just got 1 here, which gives me 1. Find the decimal point. I roll it down this line here and we'll end up with 15. So we're going to increase 120 by 12.5%. 12.5% is a decimal, as we've gone through before. We've done all that. So very, very simply, we're going to have 120 plus 15, and that's going to end up with having 135 pounds, and that's our answer. Last but not least, before we move into the quiz, we're going to decrease. Now, the great thing about this technique that I'm showing you today is the only difference is we're going to find out what 12% of 120 is, kgs this time, and all we're going to do is we're going to subtract that answer away from 120. So our answer should be less than 120 kgs. So again, in fact, I'm going to pause the video now. I want you to give it a go right from the start. Give everything a go. Come back and see if you've got it right, and then as you go through, if you make any corrections that you need to make, you can make along the way. So here we go. It's 120 timesing by 0.12. Here we go. Let's put that into the lattice method here. 120 on the top, timesing by 0.12. 0 times 1 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 times 2 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. And 1 times 2 is 2. Let's add up the columns now. In that first column we've got 0. In the second column we've got 4. Third column we've got 4. And the next column we've got 1. We're going to roll down this decimal point into that area there. And now remembering we're going to decrease 120 kgs by 12%, which is 12% of 120 kgs is 14.4. So let's do that over here now. 120 take away 14.4 gives me 105.6 kgs. So hopefully you've done incredibly well there. Don't worry if you've made 1 or 2 mistakes. It's absolutely fine as long as you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it is now time for the quiz. Everyone loves a quiz. Give these questions a go. I'm sure you'll do absolutely fantastically. Come back and see if you've got them correct. One top tip though is do not forget you're going to increase, you're going to decrease. Make sure your answers are more than 26 and less than 232. Away you go. Come back and see if you've got them right. It's time for answers now. Love it when it's time for the answers. So on the first one, we've got 29.38. And on the second one, we've got 134.56. You can see all my working there, nice and clear. So hopefully you've done as well as that. Obviously on this occasion, I haven't showed the lattice method, but I've shown everything else. Fingers crossed you've done incredibly well. In fact, I know you have. As always, please either write a revision card on this, give a couple of good questions. I know I've got 3 there, but I've given you 2. Either that or you can get hold of me via the comment section below for a copy of these electronically, which is going to be a lot easier for you and a lot clearer for you. Until next time, as always, it's an absolute pleasure helping you with your maths today. Hopefully you've really enjoyed yourself.